Today on Homeworthy, we're taking you to the bright and modern Los Angeles home of entrepreneur and art collector Eric Bach. As the owner of the wine brand Good Boy Wine, Eric's life is centered around entertaining, so he ensured that his space was conducive to hosting friends and family. Its open floor plan and colorful accents gives it a welcoming and playful feel. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos.
Yo, what's up, Homeworthy? I'm Eric Bach. Welcome to my crib in LA. Come on in. Welcome. I'll give you a little walkthrough here, but first can give you a bit of a history. So bought this home in May 2021. It was obviously nothing like this. The home hadn't been renovated in pretty much 100 years, but it had, this amazing kind of craftsman feel to it. So I wanted to retain some of that while, taking it to the next era. So we pretty much opened everything up. This was taken down to studs, and I'm a big fan of open concept living. I really wanted to create space that allowed for entertaining. I make wine, I like sharing wine with people, so I need a space to entertain. So as you can see, the living room kind of blends into the dining room and also into the kitchen. I'll highlight a couple pieces here. This is a chair I just got by James Herman from Seaview Gallery in Mount Washington. He's a good friend. I've never really been like a sculpture collector, but ever since I got this Mark Whalen piece in the corner here, I feel like it's just really special and it kind of draws you into it and you get a three-dimensional, look around a piece rather than just seeing it on a wall. When I first got this place, it was completely closed off. The kitchen, was separate than the living room, but it had, this beautiful wood floor. But I really wanted to open it up, so we took all that down. We actually took down the wall as well and put in that big glass slider. So I think it really opens up the room, adds a lot more light, and just makes it much more welcoming. So this is the dining room. The table is mid-century Italian that I just scored off Facebook Marketplace for not that expensive. I think it was like a college kid that really didn't know what he had. So, but I think it's beautiful and it expands out. The fireplace was already here. It's not functioning, but it looks amazing. I wanted to create some like deeper, richer colors and then reuse some of the stone on top to really kind of tie it in to the living space and the stone we're using in the kitchen. Photograph is by David Black, who's LA-based photographer. Sculpture is Mark Whalen, another LA-based artist. Primarily, like in my collection, I focus mostly on LA-based artists. I just think LA is having like such an amazing moment when it comes to the arts, and so I think it's important to support local artists. I knew when I bought this house that I was going to run out of wall space from collecting art, so I wanted to have some shelving that could also be collected. So these are a few great pieces. Jess Vallis, this is a small Camilla Engstrom. I got targeted on Instagram, as you do, from some like weird Etsy creator. And I don't even know what they are, but they're like little miniature worms with faces that I love. This is a light sculpture that's real neon, a park scene by Brian Lottie, another LA-based artist, and then a bunch of books. Another art moment, this is called a gallery wall. I guess like the Samsung Frame TV, it always fools people. It can be a little deceptive. This is not a real Keith Haring. This was the first piece of art I collected when I was on a trip to Oaxaca. And then, more, mostly LA-based artists. So Cleon Peterson, so artists in Argentina called Ares. This is an acquisition by Elizabeth Glassner. She just had a show at Francois Gabali. That's just a little photo I took at Dia Beacon in upstate New York. And then I listen to a lot of music. I'm a big music head. So, have quite a bit of vinyl. not a crazy amount, but I wanted to have a good sound setup. And then, you obviously have the Noguchi Hue lamp because you got to have a Noguchi. I think when you're collecting art, like, you just got to go for it. You got to find pieces that you feel a personal connection to. For me, my art collection is really based on relationships. So a lot of these artists are personal friends. And so because I had that personal connection to them first and then love their work, it just felt more real. So make friends with artists. So years ago, I co-founded a company called Hip Camp. That's like Airbnb for camping. Avid outdoorsman and camper, obviously. And years ago, I moved down to LA, had an opportunity down here, and essentially been doing creative strategy for a few different agencies, and then started Good Boy in the basement. So primarily focusing on that right now, and then obviously art collecting and doing a little art advising as well. So I've always been obsessed with sectional sofas, and I think I saw this one on Instagram, as one does, but it's a Arflex Marenko. It was like one of those things during renovation where, I was like, I need this sofa. But it was during COVID, of course, so it took like a year to get here. So I literally just had chairs sat up here for a while, and then we finally got the sofa, and I'm glad I waited for it. But yeah, feel very, very lucky to have this piece. I have a 2-year-old cattle dog, so I would not recommend getting a custom Italian sofa if you have a cattle dog puppy, but luckily it still looks okay. And then I love this coffee table. It kind of reminds me of like little marshmallows holding it up, which I think are pretty fun. It's a company out of Australia. I'll point out one more piece of art. This is a new one as well. A newer artist named Charles Hickey. And the cool thing, if you get up close on this, is it's all done with 3D pen. So it's super, super detailed. I don't know how long it took him to do, but I was just kind of blown away by the amount of detail on this piece. I think it's really, really special. And the blues kind of play off the blues in the sofa and the Mark Whalen sculpture. So I think it fits really nicely in this room. I mean, I'm a big entertainer, so we do cocktail parties, barbecues. I am a big fan of playing backgammon, so we'll drink cocktails playing backgammon, movie nights, you name it, this is kind of the spot we end up. This is the king of the house, the master of the domain, Ty. Like I mentioned, he's a 2-year-old cattle dog that I got, and he is super, super special. So he primarily lives on this couch and holds it down. I have a pretty large collection of books, primarily art books, and one book that's a guide to Florida, because you need a guide to Florida on your coffee table, of course. These are my friends at Sight Unseen that just released this book, How to Live with Objects. Highly recommend it. It's beautiful, provides a lot of inspiration for your space, and just a bunch of other artists that I really believe in but can't afford, like Hilary Pesci's, Lauren Quinn, Ross Caliendo, etc. Maybe one day I'll get there, not right now. Another really fun piece is this David Shrigley. I make wine, I have a wine company, so I think it's really important, and I tend to drink quickly because I do believe that people are gonna take it away from me if I don't do so. So this really speaks to me. I also love this light fixture. It's kind of like an art piece in and of itself. And then, like I said, love making cocktails. I'm a big fan of making batch cocktails, so that when you have parties, you essentially have cocktails on tap. So have a little bit of a booze selection here, love cooking. So have a good little smattering of cookbooks. Again, a lot of LA-based artists. I probably need to venture out of LA, but that's not right now. When I bought this place, this was all kind of closed off, really dated. I worked with a designer named Leah Ring from Another Human to really help me transform the space. So I kind of really looked at it as a true collaboration. I think one of the most exciting things about the space is the stone. We were searching for quite a while for the right quartzite. I wanted something that kind of felt like contemporary psychedelic, and I feel like this does a good job of that. And I learned in LA, there's all these amazing stone yards, and some are like outlets, that are really cheap in your outdoors, and then some are like art galleries, and just avoid the ones that are like art galleries because they will take all of your money. I'd say I'm a 50-50 ordering in cooking guy. always looking for new recipe inspiration, like via cookbooks. It's a great kitchen for cooking. I have a little wine fridge here too. Like I mentioned, I have a wine company, so you can kind of check out, some of our most recent wines called Good Boy Wine. This wine fridge is usually empty. I'm not a wine collector, I'm a wine drinker. And because I do a lot of entertaining, this fridge is usually empty. We started Good Boy in 2018. My good friend had bought a house in Glass Hill Park, and we discovered a wine permit kind of hanging on the walls from the 1940s, just falling apart. So I think we were hungover one day and we were like, we just need to continue the tradition. So self-taught, just started buying grapes and making it down there, and eventually it got better and better. I spent a harvest in Ardèche in Eastern France, and kind of brought those traditions back with us. And yeah, it's been growing steadily ever since. It's really fun. My background as well is, I'm an entrepreneur, but I really love, the branding side of things and, building community. So we really try to infuse that into what we do with Good Boy and everything we do. So we got these amazing quartzite slabs, and we just wanted to maximize the use out of them. So, use them for the countertops, for the island, but also for the backsplash. And then, we were very lucky. We got a partnership established with Monogram Appliances. So they hooked it up, with the range, and then also with this amazing fridge. One of the aspects I really like about it is that we have custom fronts for everything. So, even the refrigerator blends in and kind of looks like a cabinet. I think it just like really pulls the space together and makes it feel a bit more natural. Yeah, and I probably need to get some cooler things on my shelves, but I liked the idea of like keeping it fairly open. My suggestion though is like, don't do open shelving unless you have nice things to display, which I'm learning. But, we're slowly gathering. Here's a little Good Boy wine glass. We have a big event every year. This year it'll be about 1,000 people, but you get one of these custom glasses if you come. All the home is pretty much wood floors, but wanted to do something a little bit more fun that kind of like communicated with the countertops as well. So really love this kind of, sage green that we have in here. I mean, when I'm entertaining, I pretty much leave both doors open. This leads out to a very nice table and garden. So I like to keep things open so people can kind of flow through. And now, this was all not landscaped. It was essentially like cinder blocks out here. So now, with the great LA weather, all the plants are growing in, they're very happy. And I think it looks really beautiful out here. It's kind of jungly. So here we are, this little outdoor kind of patio area. We're up on a hill, up 50 steps behind the house. Just wanted to create an area that felt intimate, for a dinner gathering. None of this was landscaped before. It was all concrete blocks. And now, luckily with the great LA weather, these have grown in, and now it feels like a jungle and it's hard to contain. But this property actually goes all the way back. You can't see it, but I have a whole hillside in the back, and eventually I'll tackle that and landscape it. But for now, this is kind of, my little mini sanctuary. So I primarily will entertain out here, during the day. It's kind of hot, so sometimes I'll work out here, sometimes I'll work up front where it's covered, but great spot for entertaining. LA's got great weather, so you got to take advantage of that. And then sometimes, every once in a while I'll have a little house party, so I'll clear this out. Wintertime I'll put a fire pit out here, and it's just a great place to hang. Now I'm going to take you into my office. This is an intimate space. Is actually considered a bedroom. Before it was a laundry room, but why waste space on a laundry room when you can just, throw your laundry outside? So we have another little gallery wall here. It's a fun, bunch of prints that I've collected over the years. Put in a little skylight, wanted to have a lot of light and kind of space in here. This is my desk, which I rarely sit at. I don't know why, I kind of like working outside or standing up, but if I have a desk, I can use it. And then behind you here is probably one of the biggest pieces in the house. This is a Majorcan artist named Fatima Dewan. So just kind of a big, crazy piece. I love how wild it is, how colorful it is. Definitely not afraid of color, as you can see, but this one's really fun and special. I bought this rug from my designer, she actually had it in her house. And I thought, just with all the pinks and blues and purples and, I thought it just worked really well with everything else in here. This is primarily, you're not seeing it now, this is primarily where Ty sleeps. So this is his domain as well. Usually there's a dog bed in here as well. I just got so bored with that whole like California earth tone aesthetic. That's not me. I don't feel like it's how I personally express myself. So colors just make me feel some sort of way. I think there's like a individuality in that and a sense of self-expression. I think like one of the things when designing this home that we wanted to do was play with that juxtaposition. So you have, some rooms that have a lot of color and are really bright and like bring you a lot of energy. And then we have several rooms that are a little bit more grounding, so I think it's fun when designing a house to play with contrast. Okay, sweet, I'm gonna take you guys into the primary bathroom now. This is a really fun one. I've never developed a room or designed a room around a piece of art. Usually it's the other way around. So this one, if you look at this piece here, this is a photograph that a friend took in Mallorca of a woman underwater. And I just really loved the colors in it. So we actually pulled out, some of the colors in this piece. So these are all Zia tiles. And yeah, we just pulled out the colors from this photograph so that we could design the room around it. All the tiles match the colors in the photograph. For someone that likes entertaining, what better thing to have than a giant shower where you can fit multiple people in? Not that that ever really happens. It's usually just me. But yeah, just wanted something really big. This initially was a tiny little bathroom, but there was a weird kind of enclosed patio behind it. So we decided to expand it, and rather than create another room, just create a really large, beautiful bathroom. Really love this custom vanity as well, and all these drawer pulls and handles, which are all glass, another Etsy purchase. And yeah, I just wanted to keep it simple. Because it's pretty private here, we could put in a window in the shower, so it really feels like you're showering in nature. So we have this kind of combo of this long window here, but then we also have a skylight, which is really nice. So feels like you're kind of showering in the clouds. So this house is on Coronado Street, which is the border of Silver Lake and Echo Park. So you're right in the mix of everything, but because you go up 50 steps, which is a bitch to move into, but it provides a sense of privacy, so you really feel like you have your own little oasis up here, like you're up in the clouds, and you get a great leg workout. Yeah, I think like one of the unique things about this property is, you have this amazing craftsman home, like all the way up those steps, built in 1921. But then at street level, I have a whole separate apartment building with 2 units. So I was really looking for a needle in a haystack. I wanted, a separate home that could feel really special and like my own and had privacy, but I also have, these beautiful apartments now with tenants that help offset the mortgage. Okay, cool. Now we're gonna go into the primary bedroom. As you can see, we already have someone holding it down in here, taking a little nap. But I think, like I mentioned, that kind of juxtaposition between calming space and energizing space, I think this is a little bit more subdued, at least for me. In the primary bedroom, I wanted it to feel really comfortable and grounding. Use nice kind of mixed linen sheets. Have another local LA artist. It's a piece by Ramsey Dow. Took him 5 years to complete. It's so incredibly detailed. Even the tape is paint. So I thought that was really special. I think one of the most special pieces in the house too is this one by Andy Dixon. So Andy's one of my best friends in LA. And I was just basically like, just create something that has a bunch of weird items on it that remind you of me. So like, as you can see here in this detail, there's like 2 angels stomping on grapes. So I thought that was kind of fun and unique, because I don't stomp on grapes naked, but there's definitely a connection there. A lot of the light pieces we got were like Soviet era, so we had to rewire them. I think this one came from Ukraine. It's just a really cool, kind of warm, vintage piece. You know, I didn't want everything to be brand new, even though it is very contemporary. I still wanted it to feel collected, and I like pieces that have a story behind them. Definitely because the house is so bright and you have the bathroom, which is just kind of like overwhelming color. I wanted to create a sense of calm, grounding here. You know, that's where I sleep. So that was very intentional. I really like how the light plays off these curtains as well. Just like a giant wall of curtains. It adds to that kind of sense of grounding and floating, and, you know, I think it's pretty special. Just taking you guys into the little guest bedroom here. Another pretty calming room, not overly colorful. That's on purpose. Some really fun art in here. This is another piece by LA-based artist Camilla Engstrom that I got a few years ago. This is an artist out of Ghana named Carson Buka that's made on tree bark. And this is another LA-based artist named Sasan. These are just some vintage side tables. I believe we got them from the Rose Bowl flea market. You know, wanted to give some greenery as well, so have nice beautiful plant in here. And yeah, again, you know, keep it pretty calming, not overly colorful. You know, bedrooms are kind of neutral. This is more like a sage green bathroom, I guess I'd say, where the other one's like really bright and bombastic. This one's a little bit more chill. So similar kind of custom vanity, but way more subdued, you know, kind of light green top, and then a nice big bath, because you got to be able to take a bath somewhere in your house. Yeah, I mean, I generally have quite a few friends coming through. I mean, I did a lot of traveling in my early days. Like after college, I lived around the world for almost 3.5 years. So built a lot of friendships in those places I live. So whenever someone needs a place to crash, you know, they always have somewhere. That was one big lesson I learned traveling. I remember once I was like in Indonesia, and this stranger kind of took us in. We had nowhere to stay. And went into his house, slept in his bed, and I woke up in the middle of the night and he was sleeping on his ground. And ever since that moment, I'm like, I always want my house to be a place where people can feel comfortable and can stay for free that are friends. So something I try to really incorporate. I think what makes a house a home is creating a space that really feels collected. And I think like collected with items that you have a personal connection to, you know, you have a personal relationship with the person that created those items and that you really draw inspiration from. I think that's what makes a house a home to me.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.